Hey guys, it's Matt. We are here at Franklin Audio. We're about to go inside and check out their studio. Let's have a look. Nick, thanks for having us in your place. This is amazing.
Oh, Matty, it's my pleasure. Thanks for coming by and seeing the shop.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to treat this as like a studio visit and see what you've become with Franklin Audio. You guys have just been skyrocketing and got some amazing gear, which I use personally in the RA-10. And yeah, I just want to talk to you about, all the different ways that you're, assembling and then jamming and then producing and making this business what it is. So yeah, if you just want to give us a tour perhaps and walk us through.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe we'll come over here and have a look at some of these SS-6s that are on the go. The SS-6 is probably the product that we're mostly well known for. It's a 6-input DI box, primarily aimed at the synthesizer market, so people would connect a bunch of synths up and then they can just choose which one they want to hear on this big rotary dial. These ones right now are just a couple of days into the build process. These enclosures come from overseas, they're powder coated, they're UV printed, they've got all the holes milled in them, and then the team has started to put some of the circuit boards, which we solder here,
right,
into these, and then they're on their way.
Cool. And these are going like across the globe, I guess, Like you guys are just shipping globally. I mean, we are a dealer, which is really great. I think we're maybe the only one in Australia or something,
yeah, that's right,
which is really fun. And but yeah, I mean, I just always see people using the SS-6 and getting that first like nearly ASMR moment of like kind of clicking the knob. If you haven't tried that before, you should watch some videos or like pop in and try that. It's really I don't
satisfying.
know. It's very satisfying.
Yeah. Well, we actually spent an inordinate amount of time trying different rotary switches.
Yeah.
And the one that is in the SS-6, it's definitely not the cheapest switch that we could have chosen for that purpose. But
right.
I think given we're trying to make a premium product as good as we can, it's important that when you turn the switch, you feel that, solid clunk when you switch between items. And
it's on these, what are these guys called? Such an idiot, yeah.
Toggle switch?
The toggle switch, yeah. They feel excellent as well.
Yeah, same deal. I mean, there are miniature toggle switches that you can get that are a lot less expensive and take up a little bit less real estate. But our whole aim is that when you touch our equipment and feel our equipment, you're reassured that it's built properly and it's going to last you a lifetime. So all those little details go a long way to, reassuring the end user.
So what are we looking at here? You've got a 3D printer, I think, yeah?
Yeah, so when we're developing a new product, this is kind of the area where the prototyping begins. The main thing we do with the 3D printer is we're able to print these life-sized prototypes of the enclosures, which obviously eventually will be made from steel, metal.
Yeah.
But while we're in that research and development phase and we're just trying to figure out will the electronics fit in this particular configuration, in this particular size, in a matter of an hour or something, we can print out an enclosure that is exactly like it would be made out of metal. We can test it. Saves us a lot of time going back and forth with the metal factory. Yeah. It's really easy to make a small mistake and then realize, oh, that transformer's not actually going to fit in that space, or these switches won't fit there. This way we can take, our time figuring out exactly what it should look like. And then ideally when we order the metal part, it's perfect first time and we don't have to have that constant back and forth.
You've even got the folds in mind here as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So you got some workbenches here? Because you guys are saying you're doing soldering in-house for a few tasks still, yeah? Yeah,
that's right. So some of the circuit boards that have lots and lots of solder points on them and have lots of jacks or switches, sometimes it's not feasible to solder in-house. It's too laborious, it takes too long. Yeah. So for that stuff, we provide the parts to a factory that's out in Milperra, so we're keeping it in Sydney. Cool. But we drop the parts out to them, and then a few weeks later they give us back circuit boards that have been soldered. So they use this machine called a wave soldering machine, which has like a molten wave of solder, and then the boards are just slowly run across the wave, and then in an instant, every solder point on the board is soldered. Something that might take a human, 10 or 15 minutes to solder happens in a second in the machines. But yeah, so the stuff that doesn't get soldered in Milperra by the factory, we still do that here. So for example, all of those boards that are in the SS-6s at the moment, those are the ones that we do in-house here. So 2, sometimes 3 days a week, We have some casual staff who come in and,
Yeah.
and do all the soldering. They're an amazing team. They're all budding audio engineers and musicians and
Nice.
you know, people from students from audio schools and that kind of thing. It's always a good vibe when we're doing an assembly day. There's a few more people around and you know, crank some tunes and do some soldering. It's always fun. RA-10s were built in, I guess you could say, like a stock standard kind of off-the-shelf enclosure size, which are really dime a dozen. Like a million manufacturers make that same size. You've probably seen lots of guitar pedals in that size, and it's a great size. But for us, we're trying to really elevate our products to the next level and sort of stand out from the crowd a little bit. And so those standard enclosures are made from aluminium and they cast it in a die. These new enclosures are made from steel, and the way they manufacture it is actually by cutting out a piece of steel and then they fold it up to an enclosure. And it just gives it a bit more of a bespoke look because we literally designed this enclosure. No other manufacturer now has the exact same enclosure as this. And steel is a heavier material by weight than aluminium. So just when you pick up a new RA-10 compared to how the other one felt, it really, again, we're just trying to make products that when you pick them up, you think, wow, that's a quality.
That's
unit.
That's the standard across all the products, hey?
Exactly. And when we were making in smaller quantities, the standard enclosures was really our only option because to get into a folded steel enclosure, there's a minimum order quantity that you need to meet, and we just weren't at that stage yet. But we're really lucky now that we can move into that world by having bespoke one-off enclosures. It also means that we can have the enclosures made in any size that we want. So if we want to dream up a slanted enclosure or a big or a small or any shape, we can, exactly.
You're going to start making studio desks.
That's right,
synthesizers.
Consoles, But so this is the studio corner.
With the SS-6 providing the switcher, or two SS-6s.
A couple of SS-6s hooked up. So we've sort of got I think a nice staple of synths now that sort of suit the things that we like to make. It's always been a dream to have a space where if there was a touring artist in town or someone wanted to just stop by and see how it works, we have a nice place for them to actually come and see how 100%. It works. Prior to moving into this space, we were working out of my garage at home, and so that wasn't really an option to just have people sort of drop by and see it. So it's been lovely to have this.
Well, now you can just hand the keys over to someone. It's we'll be there in a couple of hours. You can make yourself comfortable.
Exactly.
I mean, there's also the whole pedal rig over here looks absolutely incredible. To me, I'm just sort of makes you kind of go, oh, maybe I should set up my home like this more. Kind of give myself stations to work at.
I used to work in studios, and my philosophy was I wanted my studio to be set up in a way where if an artist was like, can we do X, Y, Z? I wanted the answer to always be yes, absolutely we can. Can I put my vocal through that pedal? Yes. Can we put the drums in that room? Yes. I always wanted to be able to say yes, and I wanted to be able to do it quickly. Like if they want to hear this guitar pedal, I don't want to be fussing around looking for a power supply in the drawer or, you know, trying to find another patch cable. I just want to be like, yeah, absolutely, plug in, okay, start singing, let's go, you know.
That's
like,
it.
Because the minute something takes a while in the studio, the vibe just gets sucked out of the room,
yeah.
and you can't get that back, you know. People go like, oh, don't worry about it, you know, like if it's going to be a big problem, we're on the clock.
Yeah, totally.
Know? We have an RA-10 always basically ready to go.
Sick.
And we've got a decent and ever evolving collection of pedals that we like to use. And you know, if I'm ever even just sort of need a break from sitting at my desk, I like just coming over here and loading up a drum loop and just getting some pedals and having a fiddle. I think guitar pedals for me are such an inspiring device because they all sound so different. The frequency response of the guitar pedals especially are sort of tailored with guitar in mind, and that I think that's what makes them sound so cool when you put them on stuff that's not guitars.
Yeah.
You know, like this is a really good example. I don't know if
Oh
you've
yeah,
seen
the
this
special cranker.
Special cranker by
yeah. We did a video on one of these as well for the shop. I was putting drums through it myself. I was just like destroying stuff through it because it just
yeah, it's amazing. It's got so much character, and,
yeah.
and the sort of mid-range thing that it does. I bought this on a whim when I was down in Tasmania. I just wandered into a shop one afternoon, and I was like, oh, I've been meaning to try that. I took it home. I was like, man, this thing is
cool,
so good,
and it's simple as well. There's
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about not having too many controls in a thing too.
So my job is production manager, so I'm sort of tasked with the designs that Nick's has made. You know, I'm trying to get them made, figure out where to source the parts to do that.
Right.
You know, what resources do we need? Human resources, we need like extra hands for soldering, which a lot of the time we do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're like sourcing all the small components and parts and preparing for builds and stuff like that. Is that sort of the...
Yeah, and what makes it extra fun is that I don't actually have a background in manufacturing.
Right.
So, you know, learning a lot about where to source these parts, how to stock them, how to manage inventory of like thousands and thousands of tiny little...
What's the right way to do that?
Yeah, washers and nuts and bolts using... You've got some software to do that, and then also like some handy tubs to, you know, keep it all as tidy as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it looks neat to me. This is a functioning space.
Yeah, I take pride in my workshop, try to keep it spick and span around here. Nick and I worked for years together in studios
cool.
and in music production over the years.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we both have a love of like playing instruments and synths and making music. So to have that synth space there is super fun. Yeah, we definitely, you know, have some time during every workday, I would say, that we, even if we just have a little jam, we just spend like 15 minutes, make like a little crazy little beat.
Yeah.
And not even record it. It just happens. We enjoy it, and then we just kind of get back to soldering or emails. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's like go for a walk, come back, coffee still in hand. You're like, oh, just a quick play on the Juno, just sort of like see if there's anything there, you know?
No, that's exactly what happens. Someone will come past and even just accidentally touch a key on the DX7, and it makes a noise.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, that's interesting. What if I just put a little beat behind that and then layer that on top of that and throw it to the Echo Fix, and then it's been 45 minutes.
And then there's Pat, who, I mean, can you speak to what Pat's involvement is with Franklin as well? Because there's sort of three of you as like the heads of it, right? This is this is who Franklin is. So
yeah, Pat's epic. He does a lot of like the design for all like the marketing stuff, all the design and the you know the aesthetic of the design of the products,
which is like killer. Like
he's epic at what he does. And then there's all the back end with the advertising campaigns and all the stuff that goes on. I don't even really know what he does, but he's got a really really strong eye for this stuff.
Pretty good. That's the whole song. thanks for giving us the tour. That was so mad, like seeing the whole space and hearing your story and yeah, just getting a sense of what you guys are doing here. Like, it's really incredible to me, like to see Aussie manufacturing and seeing it grow. You know, I've just been kind of like rooting for you. So yeah, come and check out the stuff at Turramusic when you get a moment. Check out Nick's stuff online at Franklin Audio. And yeah, thanks so much for showing us through today, Nick.
My pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming by.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been really great. Thank you, man.
Sick.